The Financial Action Task Force has flagged trade-based money laundering as one of the most significant and least detected forms of financial crime for over a decade. Shell companies, circular invoices, related party trades, operating for years completely undetected. And the pattern is always the same. The AML system was running. Every transaction passed compliance. Every entity cleared KYC. Every facility was within approved limits. The system wasn't broken, it just wasn't built to see what was actually happening. Let me break down exactly how these networks work, why your current tools miss them, and what it actually takes to catch them. Let's start with the anatomy, because trade collusion doesn't look like what most people imagine. When most compliance professionals think fraud, they picture a single bad actor submitting a fake invoice. One transaction, one entity, one red flag, find it, block it, done. Trade collusion is nothing like that. It's not one bad transaction. It's a network of transactions, each designed to look completely normal on its own. Here's how it works in practice. Start with shell companies, entities registered in different jurisdictions, different directors on paper, different addresses. They have a website, maybe even a small warehouse, but they have no real operations. Their only purpose is to generate paper, invoices, bills of lading, purchase orders that creates the illusion of legitimate trade. Now layer in circular transactions. Company A invoices Company B for goods. Company B invoices Company C. Company C invoices Company A. Each invoice gets financed by a bank. Each transaction individually looks like a normal trade. But the goods, if they exist at all, are going in circles. The value being created is fictitious. The only thing actually moving is money. Then you've got related party trading. Companies that appear completely independent, different names, different registered agents, different bank accounts, but dig deeper and they share the same beneficial owner. Or the same directors sit on multiple boards. Or the registered addresses, when you actually map them, are the same building, same floor, different suite numbers. And finally, over-invoicing and under-invoicing. A shipment worth $100,000 gets invoiced at $250,000. The difference key $150,000 gets extracted as financing. Or the reverse, under-invoicing to move value across borders while evading customs duties or capital controls. Each of these mechanisms individually can be hard to spot, but they almost never occur in isolation. Collusion networks layer all of them together. Shell entities generating circular invoices between related parties at inflated values, all financed by banks that are reviewing each transaction in isolation. It's not one bad transaction. It's a system of transactions designed to look normal individually, but when you step back and see the full picture, the pattern is unmistakable. So if these patterns are so clear when you zoom out, why doesn't anyone catch them? The answer is structural. Your AML system was never designed for this. Let me explain. Transaction monitoring, the backbone of every AML program, looks at individual transactions. Is this amount unusual? Is this counterparty sanctioned? Does this transaction match the customer's expected activity profile? It's checking one transaction at a time against a set of rules. Every transaction in a collusion network passes that test, because each one individually is within normal parameters. The amounts aren't outrageous. The counterparties aren't sanctioned. The activity matches the stated business purpose. Green light, green light, green light. KYC, know your customer, has the same problem. KYC verifies individual entities. Is this company registered? Are the directors identified? Is the beneficial owner disclosed? Check, check, check. But KYC doesn't map relationships between entities across your portfolio. It doesn't ask, are these 5 companies that each have small facilities with us actually controlled by the same person? It verifies each entity in isolation. the network connecting them is invisible. And then there's the operational reality. Compliance teams review one facility at a time. An analyst picks up a file, reviews the documentation, checks the transaction history, closes the file, moves to the next one. They never see the full picture. They can't. Because the full picture spans dozens of entities, hundreds of transactions, and multiple facilities. And no human analyst is holding all of that in their head simultaneously. Here's the analogy I use. Your AML system is looking at trees. Collusion networks are forests. And you can't see the forest if you're checking one tree at a time. The Financial Action Task Force, FATF, has been flagging trade-based money laundering as one of the most significant and least detected forms of financial crime for over a decade. Their 2006 report on trade-based money laundering identified these exact patterns. Their 2020 follow-up on digital identity and beneficial ownership found that the fundamental detection gaps remain. The Wolfsberg Group, the consortium of 13 global banks that develops AML principles, published specific guidance on correspondent banking and trade finance that explicitly acknowledges the limitations of transaction-level monitoring for detecting network-level collusion. The tools aren't broken, they're just solving the wrong problem. They're looking for bad transactions when the crime is the network. Let me make this concrete. 3 patterns that show up repeatedly in trade finance collusion cases. Pattern A, the beneficial owner web. One individual controls 5 or more shell entities. Each entity has a small trade facility, maybe $2 million each. Individually, each facility is below the enhanced due diligence threshold. Collectively, this one person controls $10 million in trade financing across your portfolio. And because each entity was onboarded separately, reviewed separately, and monitored separately, nobody connects them. The FATF's mutual evaluation reports consistently find that beneficial ownership opacity is one of the primary enablers of trade-based money laundering. The US Corporate Transparency Act, which took effect in 2024, was designed specifically to close this gap, but implementation and enforcement are still catching up to the scale of the problem. Pattern B, the circular invoice chain. 3 or more entities invoice each other in a loop. Each leg of the chain gets financed independently. The invoices reference goods, electronics, commodities, textiles, but the goods either don't exist, don't move, or are the same goods cycling between warehouses. The key tell? Bill of lading data doesn't match invoice timing. Or the same container numbers appear in multiple transactions. Or the goods descriptions are suspiciously generic, electronic components, with no model numbers, no serial numbers, no specific quantities. The Global Trade Review and the International Chamber of Commerce's Trade Register have both documented how invoice fraud in trade finance costs the global banking system billions annually. Pattern C, systematic over-invoicing with coordinated bank selection. A single shipment gets financed at multiple banks simultaneously, each at a different invoice value. The collusion network selects banks strategically, institutions that don't share data, that operate in different jurisdictions, that have no mechanism to compare notes. Each bank sees one transaction. Each bank's compliance team reviews it. Each bank approves it. Nobody realizes the same underlying goods were used to extract financing 3 times over. Each transaction passes compliance, but the network is the crime. So what does it actually take to catch this? 4 capabilities that most trade finance operations currently lack. First, entity relationship mapping across your entire portfolio. Not entity by entity KYC, portfolio-wide relationship mapping. Every entity, every director, every beneficial owner, every address, every connected party mapped into a single graph. So when a beneficial owner appears across 5 entities, you see it, not in a quarterly review, automatically. Second, graph-based anomaly detection, finding connections that shouldn't exist, circular transaction patterns, entities that are structurally independent but behaviorally connected, clusters of facilities that always transact with each other and rarely with anyone else. These patterns are invisible to rule-based systems. They require graph analytics, the same mathematical approach used in social network analysis and intelligence work. Third, temporal analysis. Collusion networks coordinate timing. Transactions between related entities happen in patterns, synchronized submissions, coordinated drawdowns, sequential invoicing with consistent time gaps. Temporal analysis looks at when transactions happen relative to each other across entities. If 5 independent companies are all submitting invoices on the same day of each month with the same 72-hour gap between submission and drawdown, that's not coincidence, that's coordination. Fourth, cross-institution pattern matching. Where regulations and data sharing agreements allow the ability to identify patterns across multiple banks. The same goods financed at 3 institutions. The same beneficial owner operating across 4 banks. This is where industry utilities like Swift's KYC registry and emerging data sharing frameworks under bodies like the Egmont Group become critical. But adoption remains uneven, and most mid-market institutions operate in complete isolation. You need to see relationships, not just transactions. You need to see networks, not just entities. And you need technology that was designed for graph-level analysis, not transaction-level monitoring stretched beyond its design. I'm building FluxForce because transaction-level monitoring will never catch network-level crime. Aiden Flux handles fraud detection today. Graph-based entity mapping and collusion pattern detection are on the product roadmap. If you run trade finance compliance and any of these 3 patterns sounded familiar, I want to hear which one. Not to pitch you a product, but because the detection logic I build next should come from the people who've seen these patterns in the wild. Link in the description. I'll see you in the next one.